Welcome to Backpage Blues. The transfer window is open and therefore it's time for something a little bit different. I'm joined by Jack Davis, as I'm sure you know very well, and also the wonderful Charlie the Hurricane Skinner from the Mail Online. We're trying something a little bit different. We're going to have a more in-detail chat about things that could happen this transfer window. We've also got another guest who's going to be joining via Skype. She's very informed on La Liga, so make sure you hang around for that. Charlie, lovely to see you. It's been far too long.
I know, mate. I know. What's going to be going on?
I know, not good enough. What's going on? What's the word on the street of the Daily Mail?
Right. Well, you know, it's a bit of an odd transfer window because the top clubs in England, including Chelsea, a lot of them don't know who their manager is going to be in the summer. So it's a very difficult transfer window to kind of predict. Now, personally, I'm not sure Chelsea are going to be getting loads of big names in this month. You know,
What about any? Do you feel like there's room for some?
I think there's room for a couple of names. I think, interestingly, obviously Chelsea got 3 home games in very quick succession coming up. One Scunthorpe in the Cup, which kind of takes care of itself, but then you got West Brom, you know, just above Chelsea in the league, and then Everton, which, you know, has the potential to be a tough game. I think if Chelsea come through those unscathed, they might think, well, you know what, Chelsea probably aren't going to go down.
We can last to the end of the season.
We can last to the end of the season. Also,
conversely, though, if we were to win all 3 convincingly,
yeah,
that would open a door for some optimism, and perhaps reinforcements could lead to cup success, 4th spot.
Yeah, look, obviously fans would love to see that. I think from a board point of view, Chelsea are more looking towards the summer. Also, I think for top players looking at Chelsea at the minute, you know, it's unlikely, as much as we'd love to see it, it's unlikely Chelsea are going to be in the Champions League next summer. I think we've kind of got to accept that. It's also, for very top players, I think it's unlikely you're going to go to a club in January, you don't know who the manager's going to be at the start of the season. Because it's not going to be Gus Hiddink. So, you know, I think when you're talking about the very, very top names, I think Chelsea are in conversations for pretty much all of them, but I think they're looking more towards breaking ground for the summer. I think you're going to see, if Chelsea do business this window, you're going to be seeing kind of the second tier kind of players.
Charlie, what's your instinct on who will take over from Hiddink?
I mean, it's an open question. Obviously, the one everyone's getting excited about is Guardiola. You know, I mean, him to England has been an open secret in football for a long time. Obviously, he's now confirmed that this week. My feeling is that he's going to go to City. I think that's the most likely destination. But pretty much, you know, the biggest 4 clubs, well, the top 4 clubs anyway in England, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, Man City, I think they've all got some sort of shout. I see Chelsea as 3rd, maybe even 4th most likely out of those, purely because our information, you know, when Mourinho got sacked, is that Guardiola told Chelsea that, you know, they need 10 new players.
We're not interested.
Yeah. And you know, Chelsea played themselves into a massive corner. They sacked Ancelotti when, you know, wasn't necessary. They offered, you know, Abramovich wanted Guardiola big time in the summer of 2012, but, you know, stay with Di Matteo and then sack Di Matteo.
Talking as a fan rather than a journo, would you like to see Pep at Stamford Bridge?
Yes, purely because he is on his way to England, and I think any club that gets him is going to have a massive advantage.
He's a winner, isn't he?
He is a winner in terms of building the club up. I mean, look, don't get me wrong, Chelsea want Guardiola big time. They've basically given him an open check, said, whatever needs to happen for you to come to Stamford Bridge, let's make it happen, whether it's signing. So
Pep's saying you need at least 10 new players in your squad.
Yeah.
You think Roman might go, okay,
well, look,
go and buy the 10 we need?
I mean, Chelsea are ready to bend over backwards
to accommodate
Guardiola, but, you know, I still don't think Guardiola will come to Chelsea, and that's something from Guardiola's camp.
Okay, so thinking about players, a player who I've always been a fan of, and we're going to come up against him very soon, is Marquinhos.
Yeah, well, I mean, Marquinhos is an interesting one. PSG paid big money for him a couple of summers ago, you know, when he was only, I think, 18 or 19. He's only actually made 7 starts so far for PSG. They obviously play with David Luiz and Thiago Silva at the back.
Yeah.
Chelsea want a central defender big time. Obviously, their first choice is John Stones.
Yeah.
Is there any mileage in that? I know that's one that a lot of our viewers.
You know, obviously we kind of seen that about over the past couple of days. you know, I fully expect Chelsea to still go in for that. You know, I said that in the summer that, you know,
it's not going away.
That's not going away.
Yeah.
As well as Marquinhos, do you think it could?
No,
would be, it would be one or the other.
No, definitely not. I think Chelsea are invested in the future of Kurt Zouma, and I think that they certainly want a top class central defender. You know, a ball player, which Marquinhos and Stones obviously both are.
Yeah.
Manchester United are also very, very interested in Marquinhos, who has admitted this week that he's finding his situation at PSG frustrating.
Right. So can you see it? So I suppose we're jumping around a bit, but if we take Marquinhos as the first case study,
yeah,
can you see us getting hold of him? Because I think he's a really, really gifted player.
Yeah, I can. You know, I think it would take a lot of money. But and I do think Stones. We do.
And if his opportunities are being limited,
he
might be keen.
I do think Stones is Chelsea's first choice, but I think Everton are in a slightly different position to where they were 2 years ago, where, you know, they couldn't turn down big money for their top players. That's going to change. You know, they're in talks with American investors and whatever. So I do think Everton's situation is going to change. I think that's why they were able to keep hold of Stones in the summer.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, they're looking to be in the top echelon of Premier League clubs. Well, you know, and in terms of size of the club, they certainly are that.
We were hearing, weren't we, today, potentially a new bid of 45 million for Stones.
I think the BBC Merseyside reported that
Yeah,
something like that.
You know, I mean, look.
But
Did you see what do you think the cap that Chelsea would? Obviously, John Stones is a player that we've set our sights on. We really want him. Money doesn't seem to be too much of an object.
No.
There's got to be a cap, hasn't there?
Where they couldn't say no.
Well, where we say we're not paying that.
Do you know what I'd like to see?
Will we go above 50? Will we go above 60? I mean, where do you see John Stones?
For me, I mean, people. I think one of the most pointless conversations in the world is like, you know, fans sitting around a table and go, well, I'd pay 55, but I wouldn't pay 60. It doesn't matter because you know, I mean, these fees are not paid all in one. You know, frankly, it's not your money, so it doesn't matter. They're all just numbers to get the deal done. And frankly, you know, especially Premier League clubs, this new TV deal, you cannot underestimate the importance of it. You know, one of the transfer stories we ran on Wednesday was that Bournemouth, right, probably by far the smallest club in terms of, you know, prestige in the Premier League. They're looking into signing El Shaarawy. From Monaco, who was linked with Chelsea, you know, a couple of years ago, and that is what we're seeing now. You've got Bournemouth signing a Turbo. You've got, you know, you've got decent players
with 4 bloody Champions League winners and all that.
The money in the Premier League now. Any Premier League club, be it Man United, Stoke, Norwich, or Bournemouth, has got more buying power than the likes of like Inter Milan, which when you think when we were growing up, that's just crazy.
It's amazing.
But you know,
Although Jeremy Goss did agree with that.
Jeremy
Goss of Norwich fame.
He scored against Munich, didn't he?
Mark Robbins is buzzing. But you know, the 20, you know, out of the top 30 clubs in Europe, the top 20, the 20 Premier League clubs are all in there. You know, in terms of buying power, West Ham would be something like 7th. You know, it is that crazy.
Is that just because the British clubs are getting a much better deal in terms of TV rights than the Italians and stuff like that?
Massively. I mean, firstly, you look at leagues like Spain, where Barcelona and Real Madrid, you know,
it's just a monopoly, isn't it?
Have their own TV deals. One thing, I mean, you almost see it. A few things I've read about this week. You almost see the Premier League become like the NBA or NFL of football, where it's this kind of. I mean, obviously, we'll still have promotion and relegation in the way that they don't, because obviously they've got the college system. But you've got all these clubs which pretty much, you know, apart from the main kind of, you know, the mainstays, pretty much going to be real fluid. You know, I mean, we've seen Leicester right up there. We've seen Watford do well, and nothing's to say that you know, with the right investment that the West Brom couldn't be.
Or Leicester get into the Champions League, for example.
Well, exactly. You know, but next season, you know, it might all turn on its head again, and it's a fantastic, exciting time for fans. Obviously, Chelsea have been on the bad end of it this year.
So if we're going to look at certain players signing for, you know, like you just said with that Bournemouth example, which I think proves a point perfectly, does that mean that if you kind of raise the level slightly to a club like Chelsea's stature, does that mean that a Galactico, a Welsh Galactico, could become a reality?
Boyo.
Do you feel like there's anything in that? Could Gareth Bale?
I'm assuming he's talking about Swansea's Ashley Williams.
Yeah. Could Gareth Bale sign for Chelsea?
The Gareth Bale situation is very, very interesting at the minute. Obviously, by far the biggest story in world football this week is that Zinedine Zidane has taken over from your pal and mine, Rafa Benitez, at Real Madrid.
Who saw that one coming?
Yeah, I certainly did. I don't see why I got the job in the first place, to be honest. But now, probably pretty much the only major player at Real Madrid who did have a good relationship with Benitez was Bale. You know, the team was built around Bale, you know, too much to the...
You judge a man by the company he keeps,
well,
don't you?
Exactly.
Which makes me slightly sort of think about Gareth Bale with trepidation.
But, I mean, so probably don't think in January because, you know, Bale's made all the right noises this week, so has Zidane. But it wouldn't surprise me in the summer to see Bale on the move from Real Madrid.
And would that involve Eden Hazard in a make weight?
I think it could do if Chelsea wanted it to. Frankly, I think, unfortunately for Chelsea fans, and you know, I think Gareth Bale would be a blinding signing for Chelsea. I think Manchester United is the more likely destination for Gareth Bale.
Do you know what we need to do here? We need to talk to Becca from Unilad.
Yeah.
She follows this league far closer than I do, so I think we should get her on Skype now. Just give me one sec.
Hi everybody.
Hi, Becca.
Hey, cheers for joining us, Becca. Really appreciate it. How do you feel about Gareth Bale potentially joining us at the Bridge?
That's a question, isn't it? I mean, I watched so much Spanish football. Gareth Bale last season, I found it hilarious that Eden Hazard was lauded above everybody in England. Bale got a pretty similar output in terms of goals and assists and got his car keyed. You know, that's what happens with the fans at Madrid. So in terms of, you know, Bale coming over here, we've seen what he can do in England. The guy is ridiculous. Whatever the Spanish press and the Real Madrid fans kind of think about the BBC, Benzema, Bale, Cristiano, it's nothing to do with Bale. His injury problems aren't actually, you know, testament to him, I don't think. I think there's a lot more in Madrid, as we all know, that kind of goes on behind the scenes. If, for me, we're talking for Chelsea to bring a player over from the Liga, I would look no further than Greizmann, because last season, once he had settled in at Atleti, the kid was ridiculous. His output was crazy. He basically carried them. You know, Mandzukic, halfway through the season, kind of knocked on Simeone's door and said, I don't fancy some of these games. So Simeone was like, well, you're not going to play then. You know, and he had to kind of go over season with Greizmann. Greizmann played 37 games, scored 22 goals. So Bale, 30 games, 15 goals. Hazard obviously was 14 goals in 38 games. So for me, Greizmann would be the one I would be looking at. It wouldn't be Gareth Bale.
Can you see Atletico getting rid of Greizmann as he's such a talisman for them now?
He is a talisman for them, but, you know, as was Diego Costa, as was Arda Turan, Atleti at the end of the day are a selling club. You know, that they can do very little when a huge offer comes in for players, and they know that. The players know that. Greizmann, much like Gaia at Valencia, actually signed an improved deal last season. It wasn't so he could stay for 5, 6, 7 years. It was so they could get a better buyout clause for him when he eventually goes, because he will.
Right. I see. Charlie, would you welcome Greizmann to the club?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually one we've talked a lot about, you know, in Backpage Blues before, and it's one we reported in the Mail. Chelsea have been exploring that possibility for a while. They certainly explored it last summer. I think out of the top managers, I think, you know, what you asked earlier, I think Simeone is possibly the most likely to take over Chelsea, although he is also very happy at Atletico. He's not chomping at the bit to get the Chelsea job, at least publicly.
Right.
So that, you know, that'd be interesting. Obviously, those two have a good relationship. You know.
So that would be nice. So Simeone could come and bring a few friends.
Yeah, that could work out nicely.
It certainly would. And I certainly agree that Greizmann would be a great signing for Chelsea. Again, I think it's probably more likely in the summer rather than January. I don't see Chelsea making a signing of that stature in January. However, you know, it is a player they've been tracking for a while. The two clubs have a very good relationship, very good working relationship. Yeah. I don't think it's out of the question that Diego Costa looks for a move to Madrid, back to Madrid, where he's kind of more settled. So
that could be a make weight.
Rather than a make weight, you know, certainly a possible way to smooth things over.
Do you feel like that could happen? Do you feel like Costa could be on his way out?
I don't think Costa's future at Chelsea is certain at all. I think the departure of Mourinho probably makes that a bit less likely. but Costa has problems. I mean, he looked great at Selhurst Park, but that's one performance. Obviously he hasn't been good this season. He's got problems. Costa's got a lot of problems off the pitch settling in. Obviously, we talked about that before. I don't think it's out of the question. I think it's probably 50-50 whether Costa's a Chelsea player this time next year.
So Becca, to conclude from that, if we were going to make a marquee signing from the Spanish league, you're not opting for Gareth Bale.
I wouldn't, no. And if we were going to sign a defender, I would opt for Jose Maria Jimenez from Atleti as well, not John Stones. So I would raid Atleti for everything they have.
Is he, forgive me, my knowledge on Spanish football isn't what it should be. Is he having a particularly good time of it over there as well?
He is a very, very good player, whereas Rafael Varane's growth has kind of been stunted with Ancelotti and Benitez and all the goings-on at Real. Jimenez has come on tenfold next to Godin. Obviously, Miranda left and went to Serie A. Jimenez has come in and he is one hell of a player. The money that people talk about with John Stones, I am debating whether that's worth it. With somebody like Varane or Jimenez, put that down and 10 mil more.
Really? What sort of a player would Jimenez be? Do you think he's the type that could complement a Kurt Zouma? Do you think we're looking at a potential future partnership?
Without a doubt, I wouldn't put Kurt Zouma and Varane next to each other because their best attributes, i.e. their pace, is pretty much the same. In terms of Jimenez, the guy, deep inside him, he is a lunatic. He's Uruguayan and he's been brought up by Diego Simeone. He has so much fight in him. He heads the ball so well. He controls the area. At the moment, he's perfect next to Godin. He would have been great, I think, next to a JT in his prime as well, just to get that little bit more knowledge and, growth in his game. But in 2, 3, 4 years, he'll be the name people look at, I think. Without a doubt.
Do you feel like, I suppose you did say Atletico are a selling club, so the potential would be there?
Yeah, I think it's far more likely that Greizmann would come because I think in terms of Jimenez, he is very, very settled next to Godin because obviously they're international teammates as well. So I think off the field, there's a lot there. If you look at Greizmann off the field, I don't think he is so anchored because he's relatively new there anyway. He obviously moved from France over to Sociedad, went from Sociedad to Atleti. I don't think he's as anchored in Spain as some of their other players.
Right, so if we were to get hold of somebody like Greizmann, what position would you play? Would he be instead of Diego Costa? Do you think
no, absolutely not. I mean, he has worked so well as a kind of either a winger / behind your forward for Atleti. Chelsea, without a shadow of a doubt, this summer need to buy 3 forwards. Quality forwards as well, not Radamel Falcao. We need 3 forwards, and for me, I would get rid of Diego Costa without a doubt.
Really? Do you think he'd get back in the Atleti team?
Yes, because Jackson Martinez is struggling, much like Mandzukic struggled. So I think, Torres has been now for 18 games on his 99th goal. He's still waiting for goal 100.
He's going to do a Gary Lineker, isn't he?
Well, I keep waiting for this goal. I've got page content at work ready and I sit through their games and I wait and it doesn't come. But, Atleti need a world-class forward for me, and Jackson Martinez isn't it, which, is a lucky escape for Chelsea because I know we were heavily linked with him.
Is there any mileage in that one, Charlie? Martinez?
No, I don't think so. He when he was at Porto, he was very, very heavily linked with more so with Arsenal. But no, I think Becca's right. I think he got his kind of move to a big league. Hasn't quite worked out for him. Still a talented player, but I think it's always a gamble when you're buying a player from maybe a second tier league.
Portuguese league.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a Kesman all over again.
Kesman, I was about to say. Kesman.
Oh, I see. Oh, Becca, thank you so much for joining the chat.
No
that was really interesting.
Really knowledgeable. Thank you, Becca.
Thank you so much, and we'll speak to you again soon.
No worries. Bye.
Right, nice one. Charlie, the other thing I need to ask you now, we're talking a lot about players coming in.
Yeah.
And, Jack and I, when we have chats on different strands, we often focus on players coming in because it's more exciting.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you feel like there's going to be a lot of departures this window?
I don't, simply because Chelsea can't afford them in terms of squad depth. The obvious one that's been linked a hell of a lot is Remy. Clubs like Newcastle, Villa, they're desperate to get Remy initially on a loan. Chelsea, while I think Remy would welcome that because you know, we all know he's not getting the games that he should do.
He's such a good player.
I
isn't
don't
he?
want him going.
Well, no,
I don't
no,
want
no.
him going to
I
bloody
need-
Villa
need-
or
Do
something.
you know
like
the question here, though, that I really do need answered?
Mm.
The clubs that you've suggested are in the market. No disrespect to those clubs, they're not clubs fighting at the top.
No.
That's a fact. actually.
Neither are
it's
Chelsea.
fact. No, they're not. They're not clubs fighting. I think Loic Remy should be being courted by
The Tottenhams,
the
Liverpools.
absolute top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. I don't understand why the clubs sniffing around him are always clubs around us in the league. Why on earth aren't the boys at the top? Why aren't Leicester sniffing around him?
Well, because you know Leicester have
They've got Vardy, yeah.
very very settled forward line.
Who's injured at the moment? Yeah.
But I think the issues with Remy at the very very top level, which is why he's not Chelsea's kind of main striker. Personally, I appreciate what he brings as a kind of a goal getter when it's 1-1, when it's tightly balanced. When I think you've seen him start for Chelsea, I don't think his general play is good enough to be the fulcrum. You know, you sort of target in a 4-2-3-1, which Chelsea seem to be insisting on playing.
That I would agree with.
I think if a top club's going to make an investment in him, you know, frankly, his injury record puts
Hasn't he got a dodgy ticker as well?
puts a lot of people off.
Yeah, I think he did have something. Yeah, there was an issue there. I remember when he was at QPR, there was something flagged, wasn't
A
there?
couple of medicals.
I think it is more the clubs that are going to give him the playing time that he wants for those reasons are going to be in Newcastle, Villa type teams.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to see him play a lot more for Chelsea. I'd like to see him start. I'd like to see Chelsea play with two strikers more. I don't see why.
Bring back.
I would say this about Loic Remy. I would say Loic Remy is the most natural finisher at Chelsea Football Club. Discuss. Do you agree with that statement? Please comment below. Let us know. I would say he's the most natural finisher at the club.
I think you're absolutely right. Definitely the thing to say about Loic Remy is that, you know, much like we talked about just now, Chelsea will not be letting him leave the club without a replacement. So it's going to take a lot of developments for Remy to leave Chelsea.
Can you see Bamford being pushed up the ranks?
Not really. I think, obviously.
If Falcao were to leave, if Falcao were to go to the Columbus Crew, for example.
Best will in the world, Falcao's absolutely irrelevant.
No, I would counter that by saying Falcao, although he's poor, he scored against Crystal Palace. He is our third choice striker at the moment, like it or not. He is our third choice striker. If he were to leave,
I'm not someone who's got a massive downer on him. Well,
but if he were to leave, would that open the door for Bamford to be the third choice striker?
It must, surely, just
possibly,
through numbers.
but I think you'd more likely see a signing like someone like Niasse from Moscow.
So another Demba Ba coming in, a lower, like a £7 million player rather than a.
Niasse is a good player and one Chelsea.
But he's cheaper.
Bamford. The things about Bamford. The reason he left Palace is because he wasn't getting football. He needs football. Again, you're looking at clubs like Newcastle, Villa. I mean, Forest are absolutely mad keen to have him back. But Bamford's instinct would be not to go back to the Championship.
And it makes you think, if he can't get in a Palace team, is he going to get in a Chelsea team?
Well, I mean, look, from a fan's point of view, and I've talked to a lot of fans about this. I think they want to see Bamford involved, but A, he's not going to get the football. B, it's not even like he can play for Chelsea against Scunthorpe and then go out on loan, because if he can't play for 3 clubs this season. Yeah. So obviously he's made a few appearances for Palace. He can't play for Chelsea and then go out on loan.
Right.
My feeling on Bamford is that he will go out on loan. You know, I've seen a lot of comments from Chelsea fans. You know, disgusting that Palace aren't playing. Look, I think Alan Pardew's a pretty good judge of a player.
No, their season is a good judge of.
Exactly.
There's no. I haven't got an issue with Palace.
Thankfully, they weren't any good on Sunday. But
is Bamford going to become, a Gael Kuta, a Josh McEachran? Is he just going to be farmed out and never get?
His name's easy to say for one.
You should have. Exactly.
Should have just gone straight with Bamford.
You should have gone for the Michael Woods.
But look. I think he'll make more of an impression in England than those players did. My gut feeling is that won't be at Chelsea. I think there's questions over. I mean, certainly Mourinho had questions over Bamford's ability to fit into a Chelsea-style system at the elite level. I think a lot of the perceived sort of wisdom about Bamford in a coaching way is that he is a kind of old-fashioned goal scorer, fox
English
in the box,
centre forward sort of thing.
which He's great, and it's what kind of we all grew up on, but it's gone out of fashion for a reason.
Yeah.
It's gone out of fashion for a reason because of the systems that elite teams play.
Yeah.
You know, whether he, you know, we talked about it all the time. I mean, obviously it's irrelevant talking about Mourinho, but Mourinho's a massive stickler for all the 11 players doing all sorts of jobs, and it's thought that Bamford hasn't got the ability to apply himself in those different ways. Obviously Mourinho thought that. I'm assuming that any new coach would possibly feel the same. You know, I'd love to see a young English striker make it.
So what are we hoping then? Are we hoping that Bamford goes out on loan, because that's looking likely, and then comes back having scored 8 goals for a Premier League club?
I mean, that would be great. You know, my gut feeling is that you won't be seeing him in a Chelsea shirt almost ever.
Well, on that happy note, I suppose we should wrap up. Please comment below, let us know exactly what you think of all the points raised. And this is a new strand, so if you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up and we'll know that you liked it, and we will therefore do a few more episodes. Go on, you Blues. Welcome to today's edition of The Transfer Talk. There is some massive news involving Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain and Eden Hazard. But first, I hear that we could be signing another left-back.